We're rocking on through it now. We're up to number 11, council submission on the building and construction of granny flats. Small standalone dwelling.
You don't have to put granny in there.
Sexist, because there's no grandpa flats.
Yeah, it's a grandpa going. He's already said.
Just a wrinkly's cottage.
Grandfather out and two wives.
Far away, Stephen.
Always different. It's some equity in that.
So, well, there you go.
I've got David Hart here today, the advisor on the building team unit. So this submission focuses on the changes required to the Building Act, and for the standalone small standalone dwellings. And the key areas concerned for council around 3.6 of the submission and full draft to the report as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions, please, anyone? Tarila.
Good guys. Yesterday I asked about the wastewater and connecting to the infrastructure. You've said here, you've added a recommendation which is connect to existing on-site systems that has sufficient capacity for the increased overflow. So just to be clear, we can make the call. You're asking that we make the call on any increased flow on any of our infrastructure. Someone wants to build a granny flat. So is that correct? So we still have the power to be able to say yes or no to these buildings coming in.
If the us as a network utility operator has got the system in place, yes, we've still got control over that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Okay, Mel, oh, that's right. Yeah, you and Tyrone, was it one before? Time again? Okay. Thank you very much. Right, Aaron, please.
So on the 3.6.2, the ability for a person to avoid completion for financial gain, doesn't that already apply to houses? Like, if you don't get your final sign off, aren't you still paying clear land rates and stuff like that? Like if I go and buy a house, say I own a section that's got nothing on it, my rates are rated on the section. If I don't get final sign off, I don't pay rates on a house in a section until I've got final sign off. Or was that changed?
Well, this is about the development contributions when they get paid.
Right.
So rather than the rates, this is about the development contributions.
Yeah, but doesn't that already apply to rates on a property anyway, or does that will change? Because I know that's for DCs, but can't you already do that?
So, no, sorry, I think what Aaron's saying, because the DC, if he buys a section in Horsewell, the DC is already paid on it by the developer. He builds a house, and at the moment, as far as the computer thinks, he's just paying rates on a section because he's never had the house finished to get
Signed off.
Yeah, signed off. So is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Sure. Sorry.
So because of that, then we're making a submission calling something out that we don't like. It applies to something we already do on way bigger amounts, because your annual rates in my neighbourhood would be 3 years would be DCs.
The rating part's outside of the Building Act. So we just submitting on the Building Act changes.
Yes, but we're already doing it over here, but we're saying over here, no, we don't like it. But that's my question. Okay. But it's not relevant.
Yep. Any more questions?
I don't understand if they've answered the question.
Definitely giving you a good answer. He just hasn't thought of it yet.
Well, I mean, we've called out this month we can. It's impacted by the changes. So the bit on the rating part is not something we can submit on as part of this submission. I understand that might be a practice we already do, but we can. What we're trying to do is ensure that we do get those development contributions as part of this, even if they don't complete the full process.
We just see if we can catch B before we go.
What for my question?
Yep.
Oh no, don't worry about getting B for that. It won't change anything. I just my question was around
Consistency.
Yeah, it's not like, you know.
I saw him.
Anyway, you're lucky he's gone.
What we're suggesting is we want to have a definitive completion date that someone found hide from us so that we can. This is we need to.
And that was my question, because we don't do that on.
Well, we've got open last, we've got also regulated times where we need to follow up for various things, so.
What's the longest someone's not going to quote? People have gone to sell properties 20 years later and it's extensions, but anyways.
How that ties up the price.
Yeah, we think there's, no one slips through that net from what I'm believing, but they'll get back to you, I'm sure. We've got it covered. Okay,
Yeah,
sounds like a good idea.
there is a track. on these tapes.
Bring on the granny.
Right, so we've got a mover and seconder. Another question, go.
Yeah, just one question. So, should we be putting aside like a amount of money to offset the potential loss of the DCs? Would that be something that we should consider? Like we've just given 7 million to the central city.
No, we're consulting
We were worried about it. Oh,
misinformation.
We're trying to ensure we don't have a loss of DCs.
That's what they're saying.
That's what every
So
concession
effectively
is.
for the suburbs where a lot of these granny flats would go, they won't get any, they'll have to pay DCs. But if you're doing it in the central city,
You wouldn't be able to do this in your central city.
6-story granny flat.
It's limited in size. You've got to have at least 2 meters from a house, any other building, and 2 meters from a dwelling, so the likelihood of this happening in the central city is possible.
I'm trying to understand is why would we be so worried about the DC? Like this is enabling more housing for people in need.
Yes.
Why would we be so worried about getting the DCs compared to giving it to developers in the central city?
He's making a political point.
No, I agree with that answer.
Submission.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We've got a mover and seconder. We'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Thanks, Dean.
Against? Thank you, that's carried.